Hello, my name's Jenny Walker and together with my partner Norma Laver we own a piece of cake. Today I'm going to show you how to make a sweet pea. The method I'm going to use for the sweet pea was devised by international sugar artist Alan Dunn. The difference with this sweet pea to your normal sweet pea is that the wing petals are done separately with a separate cutter. I'm going to start by making the bud, and I'm going to be using our own piece of cake flour paste. You can make the sweet pea in any colour you like. I'm going to be using the baby pink. First of all, give the paste a good knead to make it soft and pliable. To make the bud, I'm using 24 gauge wire and I'm just going to cut it in half. It doesn't really matter on the colour, you can use green or white because it is going to be taped afterwards, and hook the end using long nose pliers. Do both wires together. To make the keel, I want a small piece of paste rolled into a sausage shape and push the hooked end of the wire into the paste. Pinch it round the bottom and then we'll pinch one side out so we end up making a D shape or a pasty shape. Make the top into a point and just bend it back slightly and turn it over, and where the straight edge is, use your Dresden tool, the sharp end, push it in to make a line, and this is where the stamens would come out in a real flower. To make the petals for the bud, we'll roll out some flour paste fairly thinly and cut out one of each petal. I'm using rose petal cutters. Normal rose petal cutters come in a set of 5, so I'm using the middle 2, not the biggest one, the next 2 down. On the smaller petal, if you use the pointed end of the petal and just cut out a V in the top. Then we'll vein the petal. You can either use the Holly Products veining tool, which is this one, or Gem also make the veining tool. And put it on a pad, and with your dog bone tool, go around the edges to thin the edge and to slightly frill them. Using your edible glue, just put a line of glue down the base of the petal, put your keel, press it onto the paste, making sure the point of the keel goes through the V in the back of the petal. With your next size rose petal, vein the same way, keeping the point of the tool to the base point of the petal. And dog bone the edges to frill them. And using your Dresden tool, mark a line down the centre. Don't press too hard because you don't want to cut the petal in half, you just want to give it its central vein. Touch a small piece of edible glue to the base of that petal and attach your keel. pinching around the bottom to make sure all the petals are attached. And that's your bud. Just leave it to one side to firm up a little. For the flower, I'm going to be using these cutters. They actually come in 4 sizes. For the spray I made, I just used these 2 sizes. They're made by Tinkertech and the numbers are 737, 738 for the bigger set and 755, 756 for the smaller set. For the main flower, I'm going to be using a 20 gauge wire. Again, it doesn't matter if it's white or green. Cut in half and hooked on the end as we did for the bud. For the keel, we're going to use the same method as we did before, making a teardrop of paste and pushing the wire up the centre. Pinch it round the bottom to attach it to the wire, and then make the D shape as we did before. Thin the edges and make the top into a point. Again, mark a line down the back. And you want this no bigger than the wing petal. Next we're going to do the wing petals, and this time you want to use 28 gauge wire, and you do want this wire to be white. Cut it into 3. And we don't hook the ends. Make a sausage of paste. And push the wire up the centre. And then roll out. I don't need to hook the ends of this wire because the paste is sticky enough that it will hold on to the wire itself. And roll it, leaving a thicker edge over the wire. I'll just use a smaller rolling pin so I can get right close to the wire. Keep it slightly thicker over the wire, but I can have nice thin petals. Then with your wing cutter, the base of the wing is the square end here, and that goes onto the wire. Cut out the petal and pinch that squared base around the wire. And again with a veining tool, just roll it across the petal, keeping the point of the tool facing the wire. Just veins it, and then with your pad, frill. It thins the edges and gives it some movement. And then we'll just lay that to one side just to firm up slightly. And we need to make another one of those, but this one has to be a mirror image of the first one. And again we roll out. I'll just finish it off with a smaller tool to make it thin, keeping it just that little bit thicker over the wire. And this time you turn your cutter over so you get the mirror image of your first petal. Again, keeping the square end down the bottom to your wire, and cut out your paste. Again, we'll turn it over and vein it again the same way as we did with the first wing petal. And just dog bone again. And we'll leave that to firm up. We don't want it to dry, we just want it to firm up a little bit. Now for the standard petal, I'm going to be using this cutter. Again, we do the same as before. Make a sausage of paste. Push the wire up the centre. Roll out. I always roll vertically first because I find this keeps the wire straight in the paste, and then turn it to the side to roll out. And cut out the petal, making sure that the square end of the petal is at the base where the wire is. With the veining tool, vein as before, keeping the point of the ball to the centre, then on the pad, we'll again roll the edges, just softly frill them. With the Dresden tool, pointed end, make a line up the wire in the centre of the petal. Then we turn the petal over, and with the dog bone tool, roll it around the edge in the centre of each petal. And that's your standard back petal. And again, we'll leave that just to firm up a little bit. To assemble your sweet pea, you get your keel and attach some light Nile green tape to the base of the keel. Now the wing petals, you want to make sure that you get them on facing the right way. With the cutter, this is the shorter edge and this is the longer edge, and it's the longer edge we want to the top. Shorter edge, longer edge. Put them so the base of the wing petal is to the base of the keel. So you tape it down so the bases are all in line, and do the same with the other wing petal, again making sure you've got it the right way round. Tape it all together. You don't want to let your petals dry, you just want them to firm up a little bit so it enables you to move them around, and you can bend them to curl around the keel. Then with your back petal, you put it behind your keel so it's facing the line you drew at the back, the straight edge of the keel. Put it all in line, touch it, and take your tape all the way down the wire. Make sure all the petals are securely taped together. And then with your finger, again, because you haven't let it dry, you can bend the standard petal to shape however you want it. The older the flower in real life, the more the petal bends back, so you can do it at different stages down your spray.